Hi everyone, my name is Hannah. I want to tell you the story of how I found out that my father is a billionaire. And it was a real shock because we lived in such poverty. And despite the lack of money, my mom still kept quiet. I grew up, as I said, in a poor family. My mother and I lived together all my life, and when I asked who my father was, she said that his name was Aaron and he was a wonderful man. Smart, tall, handsome, and my mother loved him as much as he loved her. But when I was born, he fell ill and died. Such a sad love story. I felt sorry for my mother, but I'm glad that she loved me and that the love was mutual. I always wanted to meet a guy like that too, so I could suffocate him with feelings. But life puts everything in its place. After I graduated from high school and went to another city to earn money, I did not go to college. My mother was very upset, but there was nothing to do. There was no money to enroll. I finished my maid's course and submitted my resume wherever I could. Being a maid is convenient. You live there, you eat there, and you also get paid. So I got the invitation and I went right away. At the interview, I was warned that in the house, there is a daughter of the owner. My age. She is pretty cheeky and therefore a lot of turnover among the maids. It was clear that it would not be easy. I would have to find common ground with her. 3 days later, I was there. The owner's name was Mr. Alex Ten. His daughter was Ola, and his wife was divorced. Seemingly an ordinary family, the owner was often not home, and the daughter commanded all the servants. She did this when she got bored. One woman was fired on the first day on the job for refusing to tap dance with a book on her head. What I saw gave me the creeps. Ola went right up to the poor woman and told her she was stupid and incompetent. Do you even know what incompetent means? What? How dare you ask me a question without my permission? Who are you? The new girl? You'll be fired in a minute if you don't shut your mouth. Do you understand? You can't fire me. Why's that? I don't know about the rest of the staff, but I signed a contract with your father. It's a formality. He'll fire whoever I want. That's called incompetence in the matter. What did you say? Did you just insult my father? I just stated a fact. You're so smart, aren't you? I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna leave you out of dinner, okay? Oh, so they starve you here too, huh? Do you know it's a violation of human rights while working? Should I go to the proper authorities? What? What authorities? There are many. Shall I list them all? Why are you picking on me? Don't fire her just for refusing to dance. You crossed her boundaries. She doesn't have to entertain you. It's not her job. She's not paid for it. And if I pay her? I turned to the maid and asked, name your price. What? Tell me the price of your dance. Well, I don't know. Maybe $30? I turned to Ola and said, $40. She said 30. 10 is mine for the manager's services. That's robbery. I'm not paying anything. Bring me a lemonade. In the room. She left, and the other maid stood there smiling. She came up to me and started thanking me for keeping her job. I have 2 children and I'm a single mother. I really need this job. Thank you for helping me. God himself sent you to me. I just shook her hand and introduced myself. Rumors about me quickly spread around the house. Everyone loved me, fed me, and treated me to goodies. But Ola was not happy about it. She didn't know how to get rid of me, so she did things to me. For instance, when I carried a tray of food to her father, she would slip salt in to make him angry. Only it wasn't me who got hurt, it was the cook. Then she broke a vase and she said it was my fault, and the owner said it was no big deal. Then one time she let the dog out and it ran away, and Ola said it was my fault for not closing the gate. But I could see everything on the CCTV. The owner got very angry and then they had a conversation. He always called me smart. One day when he was sitting in his office having a drink, he asked me to bring him another bottle of brandy. When I came in, he was looking at baby pictures of Ola. When her mother left, I had no idea what to do, and I still don't. I sometimes feel so ashamed of her in front of the servants, the guests. She knows it and gets angry and does even more foolish things. She's just trying to get your attention. What? How? It's something that children do. Teenagers are children too. They do good things, and if they don't get attention, they do bad things to attract what is missing. It works in a subconscious level. You can't blame her for that. But you're her age. I didn't grow up under her conditions. It's different for me. And how did you live? So I told him everything, although there wasn't much to tell. And while we were talking like this, Ola noticed she got jealous and came up with a plan of revenge. Insidious and cruel. The next morning, she woke me up early and told me that I had to run into the living room and clean it up because the dog had torn everything up and important guests were coming. I dropped everything and ran to clean up. The guests didn't come, and I knew it was another one of her tricks. I went back to my room and couldn't find my phone. I wanted to call my mother. When Ola came back, I asked her to give it to me, but she pretended not to know what I was talking about. She was so in denial all day. In the middle of the night, the house bell rang. Another maid came running up to me and woke me up. My mom was in trouble. It turned out that my mother's heart was failing. Can you imagine that? I was so angry at Ola and scared for my mom at the same time. I went to my mom's hospital in the next town, and it's a good thing everything turned out okay. She had called me, but I didn't answer. It was horrible. I got very angry and called the owner and told him everything in tears, in anger, and then hung up on him. He arrived 2 hours later with Ola, and their appearance at the hospital was very unexpected. He ran into my mom's room. I stood up in surprise, but my mother and him were even more surprised.
You! What are you doing here? So she's your daughter?
What the hell is going on? Mother, do you know each other?
I'm afraid we need to talk in private first.
Anyway, the situation is shocking to say the least. It turns out that is my father. But the fact is that for many years they really loved each other. However, my father was from a wealthy family, and his parents insisted that he marry someone he did not love. Except for that night, after he left, my mother found out that she was pregnant with me. She wouldn't tell him, and they split up. My father got married, Ola came along, and then his wife left for his rich friend, and my mother never got remarried. That's a sad love story. Ola was hysterical when she found out, and I had a strange reaction. I was both hurt for my mother and angry at my father. Of course, I couldn't work there anymore, so I quit my job and was left without any money. However, not even 3 days after Mom was discharged from the hospital, Dad came to visit us again, with lots of presents and without Ola. He started coming to see us more and more often. Mom interacted with him, but I understood her. She didn't trust him. One such evening, my father sat down next to me as I sat outside on the swing.
The last time we talked like that was in my office.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I'm glad and happy to know that I have a daughter like you.
You could have been a part of my upbringing.
As it turns out, I'm not very good at it.
That's your excuse?
No. I want to hang out with you.
It's not a problem, unless my mom wants it to be. You left her for money. You have no idea what our life was like.
I'll make it up to you. I'll send you to college. I'll pay your tuition. I'll buy you a house, and for your mother.
And Ola?
What about Ola?
She can't handle that.
She has no choice. I made a mistake once before, and I won't make it again.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Then make up with my mother first. It's been almost 6 months since then. Daddy comes to our house often too, sometimes with Ola. She comes grudgingly, of course, but still. At least she doesn't talk back to me, which is good. I have no idea what he and Mom will decide, but if she still puts up with him, that's saying something, don't you think? Are we gonna be a family?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff, and I'm the son of the richest man in the world. Now, you'll start guessing, perhaps Googling who my father is, but I'll tell you right away that this is not about him, but about me. And I'm not going to brag about my life, much less tell you how my father earns, because I want to tell you about one important experiment that changed my life completely. Well, about everything in order, and while you watch, listen, don't forget to put likes and write comments and subscribe to our channel. A lot of guys are jealous of my life because it has everything you need. I'm not talking about material goods, a big luxury house. I have 2 rooms, a dressing room, my own shower, personal maid, a couple of cars. I never complained about my life, although you'll be surprised, but there's a great deal of pretense in it, from which I have suffered not a little. Here, for example, is my environment. Thousands of messages about dating come to my mail and personal messages a day. There are both personal and fake accounts. I often write about how I just went on a date with someone, just invited this or that girl. I love girls, but I knew perfectly well that they didn't want me, but my money, or rather not even mine, but my father's. That's about the same thing happens with friends. For many years, I've been constantly surrounded by someone these people call me brother, friend, and then immediately ready to stab me in the back when I have no money left. I don't tolerate betrayal, especially because of the money. Well, I had a friend named Harry. At first, it seemed to me that I would communicate with my own kind, that is, rich children. I would definitely be sure of them because they themselves have money, which means that they are genuinely interested in me. So Harry and I have been in contact for many years, probably as long as I can remember. Among hundreds of friends, acquaintances, I chose him, resorted to the first call when I needed help. I was ready to share cars. I called. I came to solve his show offs, and he had quite a few of them. And at the moment, when I was at a turning point, I was in an accident and couldn't walk for a while. I found out that he was dating my girlfriend. She, by the way, was also not from the poor. It was such a blow to me. I found out about it by accident. They just lit up in a photo at one of the parties of our mutual friends. I had no trouble seeing them in the background. My world collapsed at that moment. My mother and father were very worried. They were afraid that this would affect my health and therefore didn't leave me for a single step. I was really upset and I didn't even want to live anymore. But then I decided to act differently. On the contrary, get on your feet quickly to prove to everyone that I'm a tough nut to crack. I had months to recover and I was successfully recovered. Going back to school was also painful, but I didn't give up. Harry initially avoided me with my ex girlfriend, but I decided to talk to them anyway. They were silent for a long time, didn't know what to say, and then I finally confessed. I wanted to forgive them, but I couldn't. I wanted to hurt them. I slapped my best friend in the face a couple of times and left. I was upset my father decided to send me to Europe for a while so I could forget myself. That's when my new life began. I'd never gone anywhere alone before. This time my father insisted. He said that I should learn to be independent, especially so as to help me to have a good distraction. Upon arrival, I was in trouble. I lost my luggage, and then my phone was stolen along with my bag. Then I was left alone. Was I scared? I almost lost my mind. I was about to go to the police when a girl came up to me. I was sitting right on the ground and I didn't know what to do. She gave
Hmm.
me alms. Hey, I'm bored with your handouts. I'm not a bum. I called after her, and she looked at me and said she wasn't blind, but she could see that I needed a couple of dollars for food or travel. She was right. I took the money and ran to her, promising to return it to her, and she smiled and agreed. I went to the market and bought some food. Went to the bathroom, washed up, and had a snack outside. I didn't know where the site was, and I didn't understand the foreign language very well. I walked away completely lost. In the evening, I was hungry again and went to a cafe. I started talking to the security guard, explaining that I wanted to eat, but my things were stolen. I said I could pay with an expensive watch, but he kicked me out. The waitress came over. Hey, it's you, I told her. Excuse me, Monsignor. This is my cousin. He's just arrived. He's not right in the head. I'll keep an eye on him, she told them and led me inside. I resented her calling me that. I'm Sarah, she said, and held out her hand, which I shook uncertainly. She sat me down at an empty table and later brought me hot food and coffee. I ate heartily and thanked her, and then handed her the watch, explaining that there was nothing else to pay for it. But she didn't take it, and she could earn it herself. We sat down, and I told her how I got there, and she suddenly offered help. You can stay with me for a while. I can get you a job here in the cafe. We need a dishwasher. You can save up the money for a ticket back, she said. I didn't like the idea because I'd never washed the dishes. I asked her to borrow money for me to leave and vowed to return it. Oh no, my friend, you have to earn it yourself. And you're lucky in general. I don't offer help to everyone, much less my own home. I just see that you're decent, and so I decided to help, as I helped once. Think of it as just passing the baton of good to you. Next time, you'll do the same for someone else, she said. It all looked strange, but I had no choice, so I agreed. Sarah showed me where everything was, and then brought me home. She had a small apartment, even my room was bigger. She was sleeping on the couch, and I was on the floor. I was hard and uncomfortable because her dog was sleeping next to me. The next day, she woke me up as so early and called me to work. I didn't want to get up. At the cafe, she introduced me to everyone, and then I got to work. At first, I didn't even know how to wash the dishes, but she showed me everything and said, "Hurry up." I was so confused and immediately broke several plates. I was told that they would write off my salary. It was terrible. As soon as I finished washing the dishes, they brought me more, and then more, and so on until the evening. I was already beginning to resent that it was an endless job, and everyone there started laughing at me. After a day of work, we came home. I ate a quick meal and passed out in a second, despite the dog. In the morning, we went back to work. The first week, I went crazy with pain in my legs, back, and I still had my pain in my hands. So I also received from the boss for not washing the dishes properly. At some point, I wanted to drop everything and leave, but Sarah calmed me down and reminded me of the ticket home. This thought motivated me. Already closer to the third week, I became more nimble, even managed to have a snack in between work. Sarah showed me around her city, and we took public transport. I ate fast food, and she helped me clean the house. I told her I was lost, but I didn't tell her who my father was. It turns out that Sarah also came here a few years ago to earn money and help her mother and brother. She sent them money every month, and she lived in the wild. I was just blown away by how she survives every day. Works silently, even on weekends, does not sit idle, and runs to a part time job. I admired her. A couple of days later, I found out that it was her birthday, and I made dinner myself, waiting for her to return from her part time work on the day off. Sarah was pleased, even though my dinner wasn't very good, and she pretended to eat it. In the end, I had to order a pizza. We danced that night, and then we kissed. I realized that I'd fallen in love with her. The next day, the police came to our cafe. They were looking for someone, and my parents were standing behind us. I'll not tell you how it all happened. They decided to take me away, but I didn't want to leave her. Sarah found out about me and refused to go. She felt that she did not correspond to the status of my family, and then I stayed with her. My parents didn't mind, and they saw changes in me for the better, and I finally found a real person.